Okay, let's start to talk about accounting integration. So first of all, I wanted to have a discussion about what Allmoxy is and what it is not when it comes to accounting. It's important to understand exactly what Allmoxy shines at and where it's better to use a different kind of accounting software. Both types of software are important, and if used properly together, will create a perfect solution for you. Allmoxy is made to be the face of your company when it comes to accounting. Your customers are logging in and out of their account, paying their bills, seeing notifications, so on and so forth. All of these things come with Allmoxy. And in that manner, Allmoxy then becomes the first point of contact, or the first place that anything touches. Since it is a web-based system, and any number of your clients could be touching it and paying bills all at the same time, live in real time, it has to be the thing that feeds the rest of the system. For example, you can't push Allmoxy live, have a customer walk through the door with a check, and input that check into your accounting software, because somebody at his company might be logging in at the exact same time as he walks through the door and trying to place an order where it tells him that he needs to pay his bill down before he can do so. The customer didn't make a mistake. He can pay with a check, but your employee made a mistake by putting it into the accounting software first. It needs to go into Allmoxy first, and once it's in Allmoxy, the employee at the other company can order whatever he needs because the system knows the bill has been paid down. The proper flow is then to send that data to the accounting software in a step 2, not step 1. So now that we've talked about the correct flow for getting the data into your accounting software, let's talk about how that should happen. Now, every company is different because they have different practices, different types of accountants, different types of accounting software, different needs, etc. So I'm not going to be able to outline any very specific solutions, but yet give you a basis to choose your own. So there are 2 types of ways to get information to your accounting software. We'll group those into manual and automatic. I'll provide a couple links for the automatic ones below this class video, showing you some of your options in order to get things in and out automatically. Those things will depend on what software you are using, what functionality it has to move data in and out, and your ability to configure those. I suggest starting with a manual approach, even if it is just at first. This will allow you to get going and eliminate a few variables. So speaking of those manual operations and ways to get data out of your software and into your accounting software, here's how it works. Most companies have an accountant, a bookkeeper, or someone who periodically sends the data into the accounting software. They're usually not in the accounting software all day long, and so they'll make a daily practice of updating, or even hourly, whatever it may be. But like we've already talked about, the data goes into Allmoxy first. That way the customer and the live version that's out there in front of everyone is always up to date. It's the accounting software, which sometimes isn't web-based, that has a small lag, and updating it is just up to whoever's in charge of that. So if we come up here to the $ in the main navigation, you'll notice several export functions: invoices, credit memos, transactions. These are all queues that work pretty much the same way. Click the arrow to read more about this report. It's laid out so that you can quickly select all the invoices or drill in on certain invoices for more info. From there, you can quickly export all of these with several options. First of all, if you'd like, you can give them a name and save the batch. That way, whatever happens, you can look these up later. My recommendation would be to give the hour and date as the file name so that at any time you can go back and find that batch. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Since this is a queue, it's just going to add to the list all the new items. So in this case, all the new invoices that have not been cleared. So you have several options. You can just clear all these and not do anything with them. Let's say you forgot to clear the last ones. Or you can only export them, meaning you send them out in preparation to send them into your accounting software. Or you can do both with one button: export and clear. So typically what a company will do is put a timestamp in here with the hour and the date of this batch, and then they'll hit export and clear. That then saves a file to your computer that can be imported into your accounting software. The other export queues work exactly the same way for credit memos and transactions. So this is a manual way to keep track of everything, to know what you've sent out, and is a very good way to stay on top because you can name each export as a batch. Now, I cannot go into all of the different types of accounting software and how to take this file into those because there are so many and they all do it a different way. But what I can say is The field is somewhat standardized, and almost every accounting software accepts a CSV file for import, which is exactly what this is sending out. You may have to map the fields or match up the columns the first time you do this. So go ahead and create a few test orders with transactions on them that you can then export and clear, and then make sure to go and configure your accounting software to import. Now let's talk about some of the automatic options available to you. The very first thing I would do is check out Zapier. Zapier has become a partner with Allmoxy. I've mentioned it in other classes, but it's worth talking about again. What Zapier is it allows Allmoxy to have a hub to a whole myriad of other apps out there on the web. So in the context of accounting, what we're talking about is we can create a Zap. And if you're lucky, whatever you use for accounting has already been set up with Zapier. And that being the case, you can create an account with Zapier, set up Allmoxy and whatever one of these apps you're using, and set up an automatic workflow. For example, that would send your invoices or transactions out to your accounting software without you having to do anything. I'll demonstrate this more in a different class on Zapier specifically, but suffice it to know that you can send information out of Allmoxy via the Zapier API and get it into something else. There may even be hybrid options available for you. Let's say your accounting software isn't included here, or you don't even use your accounting software. Let's say your accountant does it, and all you do is send him the transactions. You could set up Allmoxy to send the files out to a Dropbox folder automatically, and then without touching them, your bookkeeper would have that file or that folder full of files at all times, without you doing anything. Zapier is definitely something you're going to want to look into when it comes to accounting integration. So take a moment to explore Zapier and the other links that I'm going to put in the class below, along with manually exporting some of these transactions from the transaction queue.